And a good spiritual morning to you once again. I'm Father Cosmas.
I'm President Michelle.
Thanks for joining us today for a quick chat. And of course, our morning cup of coffee.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you're doing well.
Absolutely. And I still got the joy mug going because we're trying to hold on to a little bit of the joy of the Christmas season as we push into New Year's, because it's almost New Year's. And something happened over the weekend that we wanted to talk about a little bit and try to connect to New Year's. So I'm going to see if I can work a little bit of
Let's watch this magic.
A magic trick here where I can somehow connect Jimmy Carter with St. Basil the Great. Let's see if I can pull this one off. Because, of course, unfortunately, Jimmy Carter passed away on Sunday.
Yeah, at age 100.
100 years old. We say in Greek, nakatosthesis, right? May you live to be 100. Someone wished that to Jimmy Carter.
There you go.
And it took epiasa, as we would say. And he lived to be 100 years old. Imagine being born in 1924. I mean, that's pretty amazing. My dad's pushing that. My dad was born in 28, and he's still alive. He's 96. But 100 years old, and so celebrating the life of Jimmy Carter and thinking about legacy, and this is kind of how I'm going to
what do we remember about Jimmy Carter?
I was mid-sentence. Let me take a breath and finish.
You're not allowed to take a breath.
Okay, don't take a breath. Well, I mean, he's a president, of course, so we remember a little bit of his presidency. We remember his presidency, but we don't remember him for that. What do we remember him for?
Habitat for Humanity.
Habitat for Humanity.
Building homes for those in need.
Building homes for tens of millions of people, right? I mean, that's what we remember him for.
How cool to be remembered for that. Oh, you need a roof over your head? Let me help you with that.
And thank God for him, because otherwise, had he not done much, because most presidents, I think afterwards, kind of like just, I don't want to say they coast, but they were president. And then they just kind of.
They do the tour where they give speeches, right?
Right, and they make $100,000 a speech, and they're doing better as president after being president than they were before. But
he's got a wonderful legacy.
If you want to remember Jimmy Carter, you don't want to remember his presidency. It's not a great presidency. He's kind of a one-term president. There's a reason he doesn't get reelected. He has terrible double-digit inflation, the gas price crisis, Iranian hostages. His 4 years is a debacle. It's a terrible presidency. But he's known then, look at what he does. He ends up rebuilding his legacy, surrounding it with charitable giving. Yeah. He ends up winning a Nobel Peace Prize.
That's really kind of neat. He wins that outside of his presidency.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So it's an amazing thing. And so this is, I think, where I'm trying to make the clumsy segue and connect to St. Basil the Great. Because when we think of St. Basil the Great, he's a saint that's remembered for everything, right? He wrote a divine liturgy. He also wrote guidelines for monastic, canons for monastic living. He's associated with monasticism. He wrote theological works, but he's also known primarily for his charitable giving. When we think of St. Basil, we think of the orphanages and the hospitals and the old age homes. That he was known for his care for his flock, for the people, and especially for the poor. Yeah, which is why we have the St. Basil's bread. The tradition that we have.
We love that. It's one of the things I can bake.
You can, and it's really good.
Don't mind my vasilopita.
Yeah, the vasilopita. Yeah. It's this. Well, why don't you explain the vasilopita tradition?
Well, we love doing it. You're obviously remembering the saint and you're remembering the bread, but we're trying to keep the tradition to teach the children that St. Basil, as to not embarrass the families, would hide the coin, hide the money, hide the gift in the bread.
So we bake a sweet bread.
We bake the sweet bread. Ours is, a little bit of an orange, and we put the coin inside, and then we cut it, and the kids can't wait to see who gets the coin and who gets the coin. But it's a sweet thing, so that they, no pun intended,
it is sweet.
They then have that challenge of what can they do during the year to be remembering St. Basil, to be as St. Basil was.
Right, it's a blessing. Yeah. Right, this is what we're trying to dispel, this notion that when we cut the piece and you get the piece with the coin, you get good luck for the year.
We got to stop that.
We don't believe in luck. We believe in God. And so we should be saying, no, it's a blessing that you get in remembering St. Basil and his legacy, that then you go for the year and you really imitate that. And you focus on trying to help those who are less fortunate than you for the year. And that's where I'm connecting the two things together. Legacy. And most of us aren't going to have a kind of a life that's going to leave behind a legacy. That's a pretty loaded word. But like it or not, people are going to remember you after you pass on.
And how will they remember us?
How do you want to be remembered? Yeah. And I think about that all the time. Okay, how do I want to be remembered?
Yeah.
Do you look at that example of Jimmy Carter. You want to be remembered for a blown presidency and terrible inflation and a hostage crisis? Or do you want to be remembered for housing tens of millions of people? That's an amazing thing.
It is an amazing thing. And I think even in our small worlds, how will our children and grandchildren, what do we remember about our grandparents? These beautiful little things, any little thing that keeps people smiling and remembering something that you did in a beautiful way to allow them to see the example and to imitate the example.
Right. I think
that's what I think is.
That's exactly what I think I was trying to make as a point.
Yeah.
You're not going to leave behind this legacy where you're going to be touching tens of millions of people. Who are we really going to be remembered by? The people closest to us, our children, our grandchildren, our relatives, our close friends. Yeah. And how do we interact with them? Yeah. So what are they going to say about us after we leave? Are they going to say, oh my gosh, that guy was miserable? Oh my gosh, he was complaining. He was never happy. He never helped anybody. He was cheap. Like, how do you want to be remembered? I don't want anyone saying that about me. I want people to say, wow, he was always smiling. He was always kind. He was always generous. He helped me so much. Yeah. And that's what we want.
Those are beautiful legacies. Those are beautiful legacies. And I think it's sweet too when you hear from other people about your parents, kindnesses that they did that you might not have even known about. There's legacies that, you do on purpose, and there's legacies that, I don't know, I find it spectacular. A friend of mine, her father passed away, and people wrote to her saying the beautiful things that he did for them that the family didn't even know about.
Right.
There's this hidden legacy that God knew about, and that those are beautiful things. And like you said, if we can aspire to be more like St. Basil, but also to see what Jimmy Carter left behind, it's a beautiful legacy of kindness and selflessness and helping those around us. Because Absolutely. What's it all about, right?
Yeah. So I think it's a time, this is a time where we kind of take inventory a little bit. Yeah. And we're not even getting into the New Year's. Maybe the next video will be New Year's resolutions. But this is a time of year where you're reflecting on the year and you're thinking about, okay, how did this year go? What did I get accomplished this year? And now what do I want to do next year? And maybe as we're taking inventory, sort of one of the questions we should ask ourselves is, how will people remember me?
Yeah.
And how do I want to be remembered? And let that be kind of a motivating force and a driving force to help us do better and to get, our life in the position that we want to be in spiritually, so that we can be giving of ourselves, and that we can be kind, and we can be patient, and we can be gracious, and we can be giving, and we can be generous, and we can help those who are around us in any way that we can, so that we're remembered for that. And as a byproduct of that, of course, we get closer and closer to Christ. And we do that each and every day.
Amen.